Hey Clashers, I would love to see Supercell be more transparent about a couple of stats about the game. So for example, I'm not talking about like how much money they make and stuff like that. It's more about like stats like the hit rate for a certain town level, the success rate for 3 stars, like the active amount of players playing Legend League and so on, for example, because being on 5,000 trophies does not mean that you're an active Legend player. So all of those things would be super interesting to know, but in the current time with having quite a few bots and things like that tracking those stuff, we are able to have at least a little look at some of those stats. So for example, the Clash King bot has tracked quite a few stats and has collected those over the last month. So you can see the hit rate from Town Hall 7 all the way up to Town Hall level 15, and this is spread between different clans in Clash of Clans. Overall as well, you can see the amount of attacks being tracked on the far left side, and obviously this is not representing the amount of players for each specific Town Hall level, as those stats were collected in Clan Wars, Clan War League, or Legend, or tournaments, and this is kind of like how those came up. It's just a collection of random clans where those stats were tracked. But overall, I think it's kind of nice looking at those and seeing like the difference of hit rates and town level. And I think it's overall nicely representative as well of like what the hit rates overall in the game could look like. So I thought, let's just discuss this a little bit. And one thing I really want to talk about is how could we fix a couple of things about that with making a couple of suggestions about balance changes. Because if we start at the bottom side with Town Hall 7, we can see already it has an incredible high hit rate. The reason for that is not because like everyone who starts the game is insanely good at the game, or because this town level is way too easy. No, the reason is that the clan castle exists. And with the clan castle existing and a lot of well, people out there just getting like better leveled clan castle troops, the defensive side of Town Hall 7 can't really handle all of that, and the clan castle is just having an insanely big impact on the first couple of town level. And that's kind of the explanation of why the hit rate on the first town level are quite high, because there are no special rules, and like in tournaments, for example, where there is a lot of special rules when it comes down to like what siege machines you can use in Town Hall 10, for example, what clan castle troops you can use in lower town level, and so on. This does not exist in those stats, and this is like just the raw stats of how everyone can play and is playing the game normally. As we're climbing up then with the town hall level, you can see a big difference in hit rate from town level 11 to town level 12. And this is really cool as well to see, because this kind of makes it easier to understand what are people struggling with. Like, what is the reason why people are struggling on the different town level, because whatever has been added from town level 11 to 12, this is most likely going to be the reason for the big hit rate difference. You can see as well that the 1-star rate is going up by quite a bit, from 17 to nearly 24% overall, which is quite a difference. And overall, the answer is, well, the Town Hall fighting back is having quite a big of impact on those players. And this is completely new to a lot of players. And the Town Hall's being quite strong as well for everyone who's not perfectly knowing how to handle this. Obviously, this is then getting a little bit easier and less 1-stars over town level 13 and 14, but then with town level 15 you can see another big jump from the hit rate from 27% hit rate all the way down to 15%. At this point, we're at a rate of town hall 15 having a lower 3-star rate than a 1-star rate. If this is not showcasing that something is broken with the balance of Town Hall 15, then I don't know what is going on. Everyone out there who thinks Town Hall 15 right now is fine, well, happy for you, because you apparently are quite good at the game, but the majority of Clashers out there is not. And this is not healthy for the game at all. I fully understand and I fully support the idea of that the game is getting harder on every town level, but it should not have a jump where it's like over 10% harder from the hit rate which we had on the previous town level. It should be like 5% different or something, especially as we're climbing higher. So the hit rate should be more about like 20% and not 15. So with all of that being said, let's now discuss a bit more of what those changes could look like for each different town level, because as we have already said, with taking a look at those stats, we can clearly have an idea of what exactly is the problem. And I think the first big problem between town 11 to town level 12 is the Town Hall, and that people have to kind of figure things out how to handle that. As I feel like people are doing this with taking a look at the 1-star rate with like Town Level 13 and 14, but overall I would still say that the Town Hall just needs to be nerfed with the power and with the HP. I'm not talking about the Town Hall Poison, because this could be a clear indicator, and the Town Hall Poison oftentimes is really strong, but if you take a look at the hit rate of Town Hall 14 and Town Hall 13, where the poison effect of the Town Hall is getting added, well, it's not really that big of a difference in the 3-star rate. So this might be not the biggest issue for a lot of people. The poison is annoying, but it's not really a lot of problems, I guess, for most people. It's really just the tankiness and the damage of the Town Hall, which is a big issue for a lot of players out there. So those would be the two things which would need to be changed from Town Level 12 all the way up to Town Level 15, that the Town Hall is having less hit points and dealing less damage, because right now this building has just too much impact for a lot of players in the game. Then, with the next jump in hit rate from Town Level 14 to 15, we have, that's right, a lot of key defenses happening. It could be the Monolith, it could be the Spell Towers. I would personally just take a look at the Spell Towers. I think especially the Rage Tower being completely broken and the Poison Tower being really strong, they should be changed for sure. In my opinion, the Rage Tower should be changed in two ways. First thing, the Rage effect should be way less, like less of a power boost to the defenses, and the next thing should be that the range of the spell itself on defense should be way smaller. This is doing two things. First off, it's harder to stack everything around this specific spell tower, and if you do so, you're getting way way easier counter with like lightning spells, for example, which for every spell tower there should be a counter. And if you have the range as it is right now really big, then you can spread out the defenses that with a lightning spell you can't even really counter it. So this is why I would reduce the range of the spell tower by quite a bit. But there's another reason why I would do that. Because on Town Hall 15, a lot of chaos is going on. I think this is a really big deal. It's not that it's a strong defense, but it's more like that it's just chaotic for the attacker. Some attackers don't even know what is going on, because offensive rages, is that my rage, is that the defensive rage, what is going on? And with making the defensive spell towers, the range of those, or like the size of the spell itself smaller, this means it's easier to spot what is your own spell and what is the defensive spell. So decreasing the radius, decreasing the size of the defensive range in addition to nerfing the power, I think would be a really nice thing. As I said as well, the Poison Tower is a lot of problems, especially for a lot of people out there as well. So how would I change that? I think overall the power is kind of fine, but I just would as well reduce the size of the spell which is getting shot at like different troops. So for example, I would not reduce the range of where the poison is getting shot. It's more about the poison size itself. Right now it's quite a big radius, quite big spell which is getting put somewhere in the base. But with reducing this is again doing two things. Overall the damage output, because the area of the poison effect is smaller, and in addition to that, it's less chaos, which I think is a really big deal for a lot of casual players out there having really hard times to identifying my spell, not my spell. I'm not really sure what is going on here. So this is kind of the two things which I would change for sure about Town Hall 15, in addition to a lot of different other changes, because as I said, Town Hall 15 right now with having a higher 1-star rate than 3-star rate is not really healthy for the game. Because right now for Town Hall 15, there's like two things happening mainly for a lot of players out there. As soon as they're hitting this Town Hall 15 level, they have kind of two options, because it kind of feels like hitting a wall. And the first option is just quitting the game, which is not good for the game. I know some pros are just saying, then just leave the game, I don't care. That's not really how it works. The majority of people out there are just making sure that prize pool, like the $1 million prize pool for the World Championship, is even a thing. Without this game being so popular, this prize pool would not be really a thing. So maybe some people should be more thankful for the sheer amount of clashes being out there enjoying the game. The next thing as well is another option which people could do as soon as they're reaching the Town Hall 15 mark, except quitting the game, is just playing less, which is kind of like not as bad as quitting the game, but not really healthy either. So this would be another bad option. And then the third option would be that they're just, well, quitting Town Hall 15 and restarting all over again, because those were the fun times in Clash of Clans where you had fun and could 3-star with different strategies. and just have a good time, because this is what people are playing the game for. In the end, it's a game. It's the reason why we're playing games is to have fun, to feel enjoyment, and with a 15% hit rate, I don't think those players are feeling that great of an enjoyment. Especially if you would consider yourself being a good player. So you would say, iTzu, for me the game right now feels pretty easy, pretty balanced, like everything is great. Then you have to always think, if you have a good hit rate, let's say you have like a 50% hit rate, this means someone else is having like an even worse hit rate than 15%. Always keep that in mind. So this is like average. This means whenever there's someone being really good at the game, this always means there's someone like the complete opposite to match you two players in the middle to form the average. So yeah, keep that in mind when being kind of harsh about the things like they just should learn the game. Well, I fully understand this argument that the game should be harder with each single Town Hall level, but I would not say that the jump in hit rate should be like Town Hall 11 to Town Hall 15, around about 14%, or like from Town Hall 14 to Town Hall 15, overall 12% or something like that, as I feel like overall those stats are obviously only representative of what I feel like this balance overall looks like with what stats this bot tracks. But with all of those stats shared, with all of this discussion out from my side, what would you say? Would you say, yeah, that even though if I might not would like to see this in the future because I kind of enjoy the game being a bit more competitive or more harder, like more challenging, I would still see, like, I would still agree that this would be the better thing for the game overall? Or would you say, yeah, that's totally right what you said, or maybe just saying that everything I just said is completely wrong, and those stats are, I don't know how you could even make up that the stats, I don't know, they might be fake, they are, I don't know how you could actually make this up, that everything what I just said is not in some way true. But either way, I think you guys will be creative in your approach. Let me know down below in the comments. Let us discuss about that, as I feel like it's really important moving forward. And as always, whenever I see new stats about Town Hall 15 or in general with the game, I will always share them. And if you want to get into this and take a look more at stats, I will link the Clash King Discord server down below, so you can as well inform yourself a little bit better, really dive into all of those stats. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next one. Until then, see ya and bye bye.